All right, I got to do an update before I get too far. I always do this. I start in on my project and I forget to film the beginning of it. You've pretty much seen the truck up to this point. This is the K20. We've had the 8-inch Skyjacker Soft Ride lift for a while. I'm just starting to install that, and let me just show you what I'm doing. Obviously, it's a lot easier when you strip down the front, when you take the fenders off, the wheel wells out, obviously the hood off as well. That way we can get in here. I've already removed the shocks. You can see them here. These have the old dual shocks, one slightly smaller than the other. We're just going to go with the single shocks. Right now we just got the shocks that came with the Skyjacker kit. Eventually we're going to get the Fox 2.0s. They're $1,000. I'm just not going to do that right now. But right now what we're doing is we're going to start cleaning up the frame, because while I have this exposed, I'm going to clean this up as much as I can, degrease it, clean it off, and then hit it with some of that chassis black that I love so much, that I've put in previous videos as well. I've doused all the bolts with Tri-Flow and you know, just anything that can ease these things and soak in and make them easier to come off, because they're semi-rusted. Let's see what else. Obviously we tore down the whole front frame. This is a little bit tweaked. I'm going to see if I can, it's been hitting the front before. I'm going to see if I can't tweak this down a little bit. Oops, can't quite see it. It was pushing my bumper weird. What else? Yeah, just tearing everything down. I just kind of wanted to show it, show where it's at. We'll get the lift in the front, and then we'll start on the back. Once the back's done, it won't be drivable because I'll need to extend out the drive lines. Same with the front, but yeah, just quick update showing where we're at, starting to install the lift. If we break down, we got the front sitting here, obviously just the single shocks. We've got a single shock new front stabilizer for now. Eventually it's going to be the dual Fox 2.0s. And then these are the front springs. It should be all spring 8-inch. We've got both arms, the drop and the other arm, spacing the name right now. Extended brake lines, bushing kit. Yeah, we're ready to go. You can see the fenders are off here, and while I have them off, I'm just knocking them down again. There was a little bit of rust down here, so I ground it all down, sanded it out, reprimed it. Same with over here. There was a dent here in the front. You couldn't really see it because it was a bumper push in, and I'm just doing some body work now and smooth that out. So yeah, and then of course here's the giant rear springs with the 8-inch lift. So here we go, ready to lift her up. My next video will probably be with it painted and the front springs in, and then I'll put the front tires on so you can check it out. All right, thanks again, see you. All right, I guess this is part 2. Maybe I'll blend it in. Update. We were starting to tear this apart. We didn't have the lift in before. I don't really film as I go along. I just kind of, you know, film as I reach different points. We do have the lift in the front. We have the tires on. Yes, these are bald. These are just rollers. These are 36 14.5 Parnelli Jones, 16.5s. They're on 16.5 by 12s. Mickey Thompson 2s. They stick out a decent ways. I mean, ideally I want 14s, but we're gonna see how these clear and how it looks. That's the only reason I kept these, is just to get a general idea of how it's gonna look once we have the front on. We don't have the front on yet. I'm gonna be putting that on shortly. I pulled everything off the front to paint it, and I'll show you that in a minute. Everything's getting painted right now, outside of, you know, the actual color of the truck, but the you know, the core support and all of that, just cleaned up the wheel wells, everything. So here you have it. I do have, you know, right now we're just going with the Skyjacker M95s. Shock-wise on this, I did get the extended, the nice, very pretty stainless steel braided brake lines. Really nice, cleaned up. We pulled off the second shock mount here because I'm never going to run dual shocks on here, even though that's how these are set up for factory. Went ahead and painted everything with my most favorite paint ever, I'll take a picture of it in a minute. I don't know why I'm spacing it off right now. The top coat gloss that I always use. Absolutely love it. The Pour 95 or whatever it is. We'll go take a shot of that. Drop arm, raised. I don't know why I'm spacing it. Anyway, I almost need I am spacing absolutely everything here. I almost need the drop piece here too. It's at a decent angle here. I'm going to drive it how it is, see how it is, and maybe put that in. I mean, honestly, we need to put in a red head steering box and do crossover steering. I was trying not to do that right away. Maybe just drive it as is for a while, see how that goes. So we'll see. Now, interestingly enough, on the front of this, why I actually pulled this whole thing apart, I wasn't intending to pull everything off, but I ended up pulling everything off because, first of all, my body panels, for whatever reason, on my hood never perfectly lined up. You know, the gaps were a little bit weird, stuff like that. And in pulling everything apart and measuring and taking a look, I was actually looking, you know, right down here on these mounts. These mounts were like tweaked this way, and then this mount over here was like tweaked way off this way from the spring, and I had realized that this had been in a crash at some point. So this, you know, from here to here was about an inch this way, and then this one, same thing, was about half an inch this way. So I actually bent the frame back into place, so now it's all squared off. And that explains why my bumper never fit right. I mean, it was an absolute pain in the butt to fit the bumper on this thing, and it still didn't sit right with the body. Now everything is bent in place and squared. I was so far tempted. Let me turn this light off because it's, well, maybe the light's helpful. At one point, I was literally, in this project, so tempted that I went out and I bought a K20 frame. So I have a 1-ton frame sitting on some property I own, and I was almost to the point of using that frame, and I decided to try and fix this frame instead. Pulling everything off and doing the K30 frame instead. That's so much work, and I just don't have a shop to do it. I don't have a lift, so we're just going to work with what we have. All of that said, it's all bent back into place. Amazing that I could get that done with a hydraulic jack, come along, and a few other things. Yeah, and so now everything looks good, it measures good. Excited to get the bumper and panels and everything back on to see that everything squares back up. It's probably actually going to drive straighter now too, because the springs and everything were just tweaked slightly off. So problem solved. Problem I had and I didn't even know. Again, we did the, you know, it's got this single steering stabilizer. I did come through and do the pour top coat on everything. This is not going to be the lifelong axle with this, but I did want to clean it up. I mean, we're in here, why not? I literally painted everything I could get to, all the way back. I painted everything all the way back to here. I'll get the underside and everything else when we pull the bed off. Then I'll tackle that. Actually, you can see it here. I don't know if it's going to show up. Maybe a little bit. You can see my front drive lines touching the cross member here. With 8 inches, you know, you're going to have to do that. You can cut that out, whatever. I ordered a new transmission cross member. I don't know when it's supposed to be here. It's set up for lifted vehicles, so it has a huge drop here for the clearance of this. And on the other side, it's also set up for clearance for the headers, although these are, sorry, for big exhaust, but this is already clearing anyway, so is what it is. You can see this front drive line's not going to work as it is. I mean, it would turn, but we need to get this lengthened by about, you know, 3-4 inches easily. But it's still intact and it's still here, so that's something. What else? It sits a lot higher. You're not gonna be able to tell in this video. You can't really see it, but it'll be great to get it on the street. It'll be great to get the front fenders and stuff on so we can really get a look. But enough of that. Let's also dive into, I'm just getting ready to put it back together, and then I realized I need to shoot a video. Obviously we have the MCMROSE aluminum core radiator, whatever. I repainted a lot of the pieces. The wheel wells came out amazing. I really took my time, sanded these down, painted these all up. On the underside, I did truck bed liner, so these are all really nice top and bottom. Spent some good time. Bought some new bumper brackets. I just need to sandblast these real quick and paint these. My other ones were tweaked. Obviously, it was got hit in the front, so they were all messed up. And then, of course, I like I said, I repainted the whole core support in that pour top coat. Maybe it's going to be a little bit glossy, but you know what? It's nice and clean now. It was starting to show some rust spots, so I sanded those out. And this is really going to prevent it from any future rust. If you're wondering what I use, pour 15, this is what I use. I have gone through so many cans of this and I absolutely love it. It goes right over everything. Don't need to prime, don't need to do anything. I even cleaned up, well, I didn't use pour on that, but I did clean up the coolant, the AC cooler, whatever. My mind's a blank these days. And then, of course, on the fenders, I repainted the back sides, and so they're going to match the wheel wells. And same with that fender too, but it's buried. That's it. Now we need to put together the front again, get everything back on, which I'm going to do. I'm going to start putting the core support back in, the radiator. That way we can get this thing fired back up, pull it out, and then we can remove the bed and we can work on the back. And in between that, actually, I'm going to pull the Tahoe in and we're going to re-gear the rear end. Right now I have 373s on the Tahoe with 35s. I bought 4 30s for it. That's going to make a heck of a difference, and then we're going to go get it dyno tuned and everything like that. That's another video. That's it. That's the update on the K20. Hope you enjoyed. Looks great. Everything came out awesome. Again, I got the Skyjacker Soft Ride 8-inch kit, if you're wondering what kit I have in here. And we'll get a better idea how this looks and clearance-wise and all of that when we can get this out and we can get the rest of the body on it. But until then, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.